Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Happy October, happy Libra season. So I just wanted to pop on here very quickly and let you know I'm going to be discontinuing my private reading services as of the middle of October, just simply because of some changes and things that I have going on my end of things. So if you wanted to get a session, and I'm only going to be offering Zoom 60-minute Zoom sessions. I know in the past I had pre-recorded sessions, but I won't be doing that now. We'll only do Zoom sessions. So if you want to book something, now is the time to do it. It's a perfect time anyway, because we're coming up on the new year, believe it or not. We're finishing up 2025 and we're going to be focusing on the upcoming year. So if you want a year ahead overview for 2026, we can certainly do that. Or we can use the time however you want with any topic that's on your mind. So now would be the time to get that on the books. I won't have it open past October 15th. So that will be the cutoff date. And that will be it. So if you get it on the books now, you'll be in. If not, I won't be opening it up for anyone else after that point. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into your monthly reading for October. Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your October 2025 tarot card reading. So let's go ahead and dive right in and see what comes through for you, Capricorn. What is the message that you need to know for the month ahead? You know, I'm feeling two simultaneous processes being represented here. The Two of Wands, which is the first card that came out, suggests the more visionary storyline, right? This is the part of you that's looking at your life and figuring the steps that are needed to be taken in order for this world to become a reality. Right? This is not an inactive or a passive action, right? This is actually very active. There's a lot of magic that happens here through the process of visualization, and there's a lot of realizations that come when you are in this state of visualization as well. Because when you're thinking about a goal, or you're thinking about the lifestyle, or the type of world you want your world to be, it's very common that you get ideas, right? Like, here's an idea to make more money. Here's an idea to go meet somebody, or here's an idea for an email to send, or whatever. And it just kind of comes to you in a truly magical way. Now, one thing I really love about this is the focus, because when we're so focused and we're saying no to a lot of things that don't align, or things that are not good for us, or things that are trying to distract, we feel better about what we're doing because we know that this is our path, and we know that we're not going to delay it any longer. And that begets a lot of motivation and a lot of inspiration as you move forward. One thing I love about Mars being in Scorpio this month, and I know it's Libra season, so we still have a lot of that 10th house activity for you, but Mars in Scorpio is really supportive. Mars being a really important planet for you because it's your exalted planet, right? So Mars being strong, being in Scorpio rulership, what it does is it tends to streamline everything, and temptations don't really have as much power as maybe they have at other times in the year. And so the second thing that we have, the second process that's going on, is this death process. And this is in contrast, because the Two of Wands is really bringing things to life. But in contrast, the death card kills things off. It ends things. It brings things to a point of closure. And so they go hand in hand most of the time, Not only is your world around you transforming with this death card, but I think aspects of you are also transforming, which is common for all of us because Pluto is out of bounds right now. And when planet like Pluto is out of bounds and his energy is exaggerated and magnified in the sky, it just makes sense that to our very core, things are just becoming different. Our desires are becoming different. Our motivations are becoming different. The dreams are becoming different. And, when we have that change going on, it's only a matter of time before things start dropping like flies. Obligations, relationships, habits, all sorts of things can fall under this death card. It doesn't have to be any one particular thing. It can be a myriad of things. So you, Capricorn, you have that contrast of bringing to life and ending life. Okay, not literally, but metaphorically ending things. And of course, with the death card, we often talk about the death rebirth, but I really just want to stress the death part of this, the ending, the closure, the finality. And this is a time, and one thing I like about Capricorn and their Saturn rulership is that you actually do tend to be very good at this. Like when something is done, it's done. When something is over, it's over. And there is no blurring the boundaries, kind of bringing it back to life, kind of keeping, contact with that person. Or like when it's done, it's done. And I think with this death card, that's how it needs to be. It's either done or it's not. And I think right now it has to be done because your dream needs the space. It needs that part of you. So you don't have the capacity to keep all these things afloat. You don't have the capacity to keep everything intact. It's a time to let things be destroyed. Okay? We have the Nine of Wands, which, really does tell me there's something private going on. This is, you sort of keeping a keen eye on who's who and what's what. And you're not going to let just anybody into your secret world, into your process, into your deepest thoughts. Select people will, like a spouse or something like that, but most people, they're being kept out. And I think you are vigilant. You are choosy, you're particular about who's who. You feel people out. You listen to what they say because you understand that when people speak, it is a projection. And you need to know who they really are. It's like the jokes that they tell, the stories that they tell. Are they, or is this person able to really ride with you on this? Because when you're making such big changes, a lot of people are going to have a lot of things to say. And because people want to be heard, that's one thing. People want to be heard because they want to be seen. But unfortunately, in their efforts to be heard and seen, sometimes they do so, not with malintentions, they don't try to do this, but in their desire to be significant, they tend to pull away and pull focus from you onto them. And they may do that by saying, oh, you shouldn't do this, you should do that instead. Or, oh, I've heard this and I read this article about that, and oh, maybe that's really not a good idea, and maybe you should try this instead, And those opinions can really insert a wedge into what you have going on, and it can prevent certain people who are not strong-willed, who are not strong-minded to persevere. Now, I'm not saying that's you necessarily, but you also have to be careful about the fragility that we're in right now astrologically. It's very likely that many people are going to be afraid of the change that they are facing because death and letting things fall away and all that can be a really, really hard thing sometimes. Some people don't like doing that. They don't like knowing that in order to have that, they have to get rid of this. And if someone's opinion is strong enough, they might say, well, I'm going to hang on to this because I'm not willing to let go, but that means you're going to, it's going to cost you your dream. Some people are going to be okay with that. And I just don't think that now is the right time to be doing anything like that. Now is the right time to keep your world close, to keep your dreams close, and do it under the radar. Which is odd because I know the sun is in your 10th house. It's a really public house. But this is the thing. You have to be careful about what you are showing the world. You have to be selective. Because of all the reasons I just said. And with the Eight of Swords, actually both of these cards here, I think, Eight of Swords, the Four of Cups, just tells me that, first of all, Eight of Cups, again, being discerning, choosy, picky, not just going after just anything. Look, if it doesn't align with the world and the vision that you hold with the Two of Wands, it's got to be a no. I'm not saying these aren't potentially really good offerings, because maybe they are. They could be good offerings, but do they align? Because if they don't, they're not good for you. The Eight of Swords, this is kind of interesting because it kind of often indicates feeling trapped or suffocated or helpless or feeling like you don't know how to escape. But I think you do know how to escape. And that's one of the very first things that I said here was, you're going to have those enlightening moments that say, this is how you do it. This is an idea. This is a step that you can take in the right direction when you're in this visualized state of mind. And rather than this being, like, I almost kind of feel like, I haven't been doing reversals in a really long time, but I almost feel like this card should be reversed, where it feels like these swords are starting to fall out. They're starting to lose power, and all of the limiting beliefs, all of the reasons why you can't or why you couldn't do it, all of the lack of resources, all of the things that you have used in the past to rationalize why something couldn't be done or now isn't the right time or whatever, they seem to be losing absolute power. And what happens when these swords really fall away is that suddenly you are tasked with making the true transformation, which is exactly what's happening. I don't think Capricorn is shying away from this. I don't think you're afraid of this. I just think it's just what's going on. And I think you can tell in your bones what's going on. This card has been screaming at me. Okay, Seven of Wands. I'm like, pull it, pull it, pull it. The minute I put that deck down, I knew I had to pull that card. Okay, so we have the Seven of Wands. We have World card. The Moon. Now, one of the things we can't forget, as clear as our vision can be, and as, blessed that we can be to receive insight in terms of how to achieve that goal, we also need to acknowledge that the North Node is still in Pisces. It still remains in Pisces. We have Saturn still in Pisces still, and Neptune will be moving back into Pisces this month as well. Hold on, my little post-it note with my dates kind of fell off. That's happening on the 22nd of October, which is coincidentally the same day that the sun moves into Scorpio. And I feel like with all this Piscean energy still, which we've had it for a long time, a couple years yet, but we've had the North Node in Pisces, and now Neptune is re-entering, and it's kind of I want to say recall, but that's not the right word, but it's like a second calling, I guess we could say, a second calling to faith, right? Returning to a deep trust in a process, and you are clearly in a process. Bring something to life and let things die off. Right? And typically when we let things die off, basically what it does, this may have already been a path, but all the energy and resources that we had dedicated to these other things can now be funneled which can then accelerate the growth of the very thing you're trying to bring to life. This is often why Scorpio and Scorpio energy, we see so much success. We see wealth. Like Scorpio is like one of those zodiac signs related to like obscene wealth, I would say. Because of that reason exactly, because it is so hyper focused, it is so obsessed with that one path or that one track. And everything, like most people spread themselves very thin, right? They have a lot of things going on. There's a lot of obligations and they can't ever really go full on into one thing. But that's what's happening right now for you, Capricorn. And you are being asked to have faith with this moon card to continue proceeding with this process, even though you're not really seeing full results quite yet. Now, you may see something come Scorpio season. As the sun moves into Scorpio, I think Scorpio season will treat you very well. But it's actually the fact that these are right next to each other. I know I'm skipping over these. I'll get to those in just a second. But it's like the moment you surrender to faith, true faith. And there's a big difference between intellectually saying, okay, I'm going to have faith and I'm going to trust versus the feeling of trust. Two totally different things. This is the feeling. This is relieving your heart of the burden. And what happens is I feel like you immediately see something that comes in that says, yes, Capricorn, that was the right choice. Yes, Capricorn, look what happens when you completely surrender to spirit. Look what happens when you completely surrender to what you know to be right and good and true. Ace of Wands. Now, the Ace of Wands might not be something tangible. It's more often a spark, an inspiration, a motivation, but that can come from someone expressing interest or someone saying, wow, that's a really cool idea, or wow, I'd love to invest in that, or wow, I'd really love to date you, or, some kind of something that feels validating and confirming and feels like, yeah, this whole like death process is not for nothing, that you actually are going to get something from this. But it only really comes on the heels of this moon card. But the minute, and I think this is really brief. Okay, we've got that new moon in Scorpio on the 21st. We have Neptune moving into Pisces, Sun moving into Scorpio on the 22nd. And I think this corresponds to that time frame, the 21st, 22nd-ish. The minute that energy sinks in, you find a revival, right? There's comes kind of an energetic revival, a spiritual revival, where, again, you receive that confirmation that you're on the right track, and then you feel that much more on fire, that much more passionate, that much more excited and motivated to go make things happen. And that's the Chariot, and I think that's going to be the theme of Scorpio season for you. Okay, coming back to this here now, though, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to really skip all this, but the Seven of Wands, I do think that there is going to be pushback, really in response to the Death card, in response to maybe your lackluster attitude to what people are trying to give you. Like, that's the thing with the Four of Cups, is people want you to be jumping up and down all excited because, first of all, they need you. That's why they're trying to offer things to you. They need you. They want you. So when they make this offer and you're just really nonchalant about it, and maybe you say no officially, they're not going to really understand, because from their perspective, they have the best deal on the table. They have the best offering. They have the best idea. They have the best, most exciting whatever. They don't even consider that maybe you have something else going on. Of course, why would they assume? Because I don't think you're letting anyone know anything. See, the thing is that with the sun in the 10th, like I say, it's a really curated projection, right? Where you are curating what people see. So they are going to form a certain opinion based on what you're showing them. So of course you can't get offended when they start to get a little like, but wait, but I thought this is what you wanted, and I thought this is where you were going, and I thought this, and I thought that. And again, I don't suggest that you do let them into this at that point, because they're just really not the right people. And those are going to be the very people that, like I say, they're going to try to wedge in. They're going to try to interject because they want that feeling of significance in their life. It's not your job to give them that feeling of significance. But you are going to have to defend probably why you're not really interested, why it doesn't work for you, why you're not moving forward, and so on and so forth. And that Seven of Wands, this could align with the 13th of October, which is when Venus moves into Libra and becomes the strongest planet in the chart. Very strong. And of course, she is going to bring her adjustment powers, even more so than Mars, even more so than the Sun, because Mars was in Libra, through August and September. Then we had Libra season, or we have it through October. And then on the 13th of October, that's when Venus comes into rulership in Libra. So lots and lots of Libran energy, lots of adjustment energy. But I would argue that there is nothing more powerful than a Venus in Libra in terms of true adjustment. And I think Venus in Libra is going to be the final Libran transit that really closes everything that really started since August. It's the final chapter. It's the closure. Okay, but the adjustments, again, somewhat surprising to people. People don't realize that this Seven of Wands is not only you protecting yourself and your path, but it's also spirit injecting and saying, you two shouldn't be working together. You two shouldn't be meshing right now. You shouldn't be committing. Like, it's just not a good time for any of this. So let's just keep it separate. People aren't going to understand that, and they're not going to like it because it's, they want something. And I do think there is an air of desperation in the energy right now. People are feeling out of control because they don't understand that this is a time of faith more than anything. Okay? They don't understand that this world, right, this era is turning over. But see, you, I think, are self-aware enough that you can feel this threshold appearing in front of you. And again, the fragility of this, because it's highly likely that some people, some Capricorns, will look this doorway in the face, turn their back on it, and just walk backwards and go back to where they came from and see no change in their life at all. Because change and true transformation is not for the weak. It is not for the spiritually inept. Right? It is for the people who are true spiritual warriors. And I think right now, Capricorn, you are being called into that spiritual warriorship. Okay, but that will serve you well come November, Scorpio season, with the Ace of Wands and the Chariot, where I think you really start to see a lot of progress because you have a lot of things out of the way now. You maybe have had some of the difficult conversations. You've had the pushback. You've had to affirm where you stand on things, and you've had the chance to walk through this doorway into an unknown realm, by the way. So again, even that in and of itself is highly rooted in faith. So let's see what the Oracle cards have to say for you, Capricorn. I felt like that one came through. Oh, well, there you go. Adjustments are required. Yes. And the death card is one of the ways that adjustments are being made, right? Things being shoved off to the side, closure on things, not accepting you, Capricorn, being the one to reaffirm where you stand. declaring, I don't want this, I'm going to fight you off, I'm not going to let you be a part of this. And I know that sounds like such a weird thing because we do want to be inclusive, but it's just not a good time. Things are still in development. We're in the kind of incubation phase, and we don't want to sour this process. Once you have firm footing and you're further along, then yes, sure, absolutely, you can let people in, but it just has to be a private experience right now. We have the wombat spirit, which says be at home. Now, this could mean actually your actual home, right? Just kind of be, right? 9 of Wands, be in your private world, be in your kind of secret space, you know, whatever, that's fine. But I think it more so really speaks to your spiritual home, to be at center within yourself, to be in this unshakable, unbendable place. You're going to need a little bit of that with the 7 of Wands. You're going to need a little bit of that with the 4 of Cups. Because you're going to need that wherewithal to stand firm. Okay? But let's go ahead and pull out the clarifiers. Now, for those of you who are new, we are going to go very in depth into each one of these and kind of pull and extract as much detail from every single card so we can get a fuller picture of what's going on here. So if you want to join me for that, the link will be in the comprehensive link will be in the description box and the comment thread down below. So let's see what comes through for you, Capricorn, with the 2 of Wands. We have the Sun, Judgment, and the Ace of Wands. Another Ace of Wands, which is beautiful. We have a 10 of Wands, a Hermit, and 2 of Swords for the 9 of Wands, 5 of Coins, King of Coins, 2 of Cups for the 8 of Swords, 6 of Cups, King of Cups, and Knight of Coins. 4 of Swords, 6 of Swords, and 3 of Cups, 5 of Swords. Yeah, I just feel like you're dealing with someone who just simply doesn't understand. You know, it's just like they just don't get it. They just don't, they're just not there. 9 of Cups, King of Wands, beautiful Ace of Swords, 3 of Coins, another 9 of Wands, and a 5 of Wands. Love the amazing Wheel of Fortune, 7 of Wands, 7 of Cups. And for the Chariot, we have the Fool, the Queen of Swords, and last, I didn't mean to pull 2, but that's all right, we did. We have the 4 of Wands and the High Priestess. So this is where we're going to pick up in the comprehensive. So if you want to join, again, all the info down below. Thank you so much, Capricorn. Have an amazing month, and I'll talk to you soon.